Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive. Today we're tackling something that can really put a damper on those travel dreams, especially for those of you who are 70 and beyond.
You guessed it, we're talking about jet lag. But don't worry, we're not just going to complain about how tough it can be as we get older.
Oh no, we are going to equip you with some serious strategies to minimize that jet lag misery and maximize those precious vacation days. Whether you're dreaming of strolling through ancient ruins or finally trying those Parisian pastries you've always read about.
We want you to hit the ground running, not spending half your trip stuck in that foggy, out-of-sync limbo.
Exactly. Okay, so before we jump into the tips and tricks, let's break down what's actually going on in our bodies when we cross time zones.
It all comes down to our internal clock, or what we call our circadian rhythm. You see, this rhythm is heavily influenced by light.
Makes sense. Our bodies naturally want to sync up with the sun, right?
Exactly. But when we travel across time zones, that light-dark pattern gets disrupted, and our body is like, wait, what? What time is it here? Is it bedtime? Is it time to eat?
No wonder we feel so disoriented. So are you saying our bodies just aren't good at adapting to these sudden changes?
Well, it's a bit more nuanced than that. It turns out our bodies actually adjust more easily to westward travel than eastward travel.
Oh, why is that?
Think about it. Eastward travel means trying to go to bed earlier than your body thinks you should, right?
Yeah, so yeah.
And our bodies naturally want to delay sleep, not advance it. It's easier for most of us to stay up a few extra hours than to force ourselves to sleep earlier.
That's definitely true for me.
Right. And as we get older, that natural tendency to delay sleep can become even more pronounced. Our internal clocks, so to speak, can get a bit less flexible.
I'm sure many of our listeners can relate to that.
I'd say so. So, knowing this, it becomes extra important to have a solid plan to combat jet lag, particularly for those eastward journeys.
Absolutely. Forewarned is forearmed, right? So let's dive into those strategies. What can we do to minimize those jet lag woes and make the most of our trips, no matter which direction we're headed? All right, so eastward travel, especially as we age, can be a bit trickier on the body clock, but we're not letting that stop us from seeing the world, right? What are some of the strategies?
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And one of the most powerful tools we have, believe it or not, is light exposure.
Oh, interesting. I know you mentioned light affecting our circadian rhythm, but how can we actually use that to our advantage?
So before you even leave for your trip, you could actually start shifting your sleep schedule gradually towards the time zone of your destination.
Okay, so if I'm heading east, I should try to go to bed a little earlier each night leading up to the trip.
Exactly. Even just 15-30 minutes earlier each day can make a difference. And then when you arrive, make sure you're getting plenty of daylight, especially in the morning.
Gotcha. Soaking up that sunshine to reset the internal clock. What about those long flights, though? Any tips for surviving those, especially when we're talking about eastward travel?
Ah, yes. Long flights. Well, one of the best things you could do is try to align your sleep on the plane with the time zone you're going to. If it's nighttime at your destination, try to get some sleep, even if it feels a little strange.
Yeah, I can imagine. Plane cabins aren't exactly known for their peaceful ambience. It's hard to fall asleep when the person next to you is snoring.
You're telling me. That's where those trusty travel companions come in handy. Eye masks, earplugs, a good neck pillow, anything to create a more sleep-conducive environment.
Oh, and staying hydrated too, right? I've heard that's really important.
Absolutely. Dehydration can actually intensify jet lag symptoms. So drink plenty of water and maybe skip that pre-flight coffee or glass of wine.
Oh man, that's going to be tough. But I know it's worth it if it means feeling better.
It is. Think of it this way. You're helping your body get ready for that new time zone, and that continues even after you land.
Oh, right. What should we do once we're on the ground?
Stick to that adjusted sleep schedule as much as possible. And as tempting as it is, resist those long naps when you first arrive. They'll make it harder to adjust in the long run.
Yeah, that makes sense. Keep that momentum going.
Exactly. We're going for consistency to keep that internal clock happy. And just like on the flight, prioritize hydration and balanced meals. It all makes a difference.
You know, it really is amazing how much these simple lifestyle choices can impact how we feel when we travel. It's not just about the time zones. It's about how we take care of ourselves throughout the entire experience.
You said it. It's all about working with our bodies, not against them, to make that transition as smooth as possible.
Now, I've heard a lot about melatonin supplements as a possible jet lag remedy. What's your take on those, especially for older travelers?
Melatonin can be helpful, yes, especially for those eastward trips. It helps to shift your sleep-wake cycle earlier. But And this is important. You really need to talk to your doctor before starting any new supplements, especially if you're already taking other medications.
Right. Melatonin isn't a one-size-fits-all solution.
Exactly. Your doctor can help you figure out the right dosage and timing for you. They're your best resource.
Okay, good to know. Now, switching gears a bit, I know a lot of people in our age group deal with pre-existing sleep disorders, insomnia, sleep apnea, those kinds of things. How does that factor into the jet lag equation, especially when you're trying to enjoy a trip? So we've got jet lag to contend with, and then on top of that, many of us, as we get older, are dealing with sleep challenges even when we're not traveling. It can feel like a double whammy, right?
It definitely adds another layer, but I want to reassure our listeners that it doesn't have to be a barrier to travel.
Music to my ears. So, let's start with insomnia. It's incredibly common, but what can we do about it, especially when we're trying to relax and enjoy a vacation?
Well, the great thing is those strategies we talked about for managing jet lag, like keeping a consistent sleep schedule, those are actually really helpful for insomnia too.
Okay, but that seems kind of counterintuitive, right? I mean, vacations for sleeping in.
It's tempting, for sure.
Yeah.
But sticking to your routine as much as possible, even without that alarm clock, will really help. And remember, just like with jet lag, create that relaxing sleep environment.
Those blackout curtains can be a lifesaver. Okay, now what about those who need a CPAP machine for sleep apnea? That seems like it would be tough to manage while traveling.
It does take a bit of extra planning, but it's definitely doable. The most important thing is to bring your machine with you. Don't try to rent one at your destination. And always, always let your airline know in advance that you'll have it with you.
Good advice. Now, what about those who have been diagnosed with circadian rhythm disorders? Is travel still an option for them?
Absolutely. It's all about management, just like with insomnia. Light exposure, consistent sleep schedule. These are key. And in some cases, a doctor might recommend something called chronotherapy.
Chronotherapy. What's that?
It basically involves gradually shifting your sleep schedule in the weeks leading up to your trip. Really helpful for those longer trips.
Wow, okay. So preparation is key. And when in doubt, always consult your doctor.
Yeah, exactly. They can give you personalized advice.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, no matter what your sleep situation is, you can travel well. So a little planning and some self-care, you can enjoy those trips to the fullest, no matter your age.
It's not about pushing ourselves beyond our limits, right? It's about adapting and being mindful of what our bodies need.
Exactly. Now, here's a thought for you and all our listeners out there. As you plan those dream trips, think about this. How can you actually design your itinerary to support your body's natural adjustment?
Oh, I love that. So instead of planning a jam-packed itinerary, maybe choose activities that allow for some flexibility and rest.
Exactly. Maybe that's a leisurely stroll through a local market instead of that intense bus tour on the first day.
Give yourself permission to adjust.
Yes. Listen to your body. Rest when you need to. You're on vacation.
That is the best advice. So there you have it. We dove deep into the world of jet lag and how to outsmart it, especially for us seasoned travelers 70 and up.
We covered a lot of ground.
They did. Remember, knowledge is power, folks, and you've got this. Safe travels, everyone.